Captain Zareth looked at the screen with fear in her purple eyes. Her ship, the Harmony's Edge, was far from any friendly world. She was part of the Galactic Federation, a group of peaceful alien races that had lived together for thousands of years. They explored space, traded goods, and shared knowledge. War was something from the old stories, but now war had come to them. The enemy ships were huge and black. They looked like metal insects with too many legs. The Federation called them the Devourers. They came from the dark space between galaxies. No one knew where they started or why they attacked. They just consumed everything in their path. Zareth watched her home world die on the communication screen. The Devourers had landed on Velara Prime just 3 days ago. Now the green oceans were gray. The floating cities were gone. Even the air was different. The machines had eaten everything and everyone. Her family, her friends, her whole world was gone. "Captain, we are getting reports from 17 systems," said her second officer, a tall blue alien with 4 arms. "They are all gone. The Devourers took everything." Zareth felt sick. 17 worlds, billions of people, all gone in less than a month. The Federation fleet had tried to fight. Their ships shot energy beams at the Devourers. The beams barely scratched the black metal. The enemy ships were too strong. They healed themselves by eating the destroyed Federation ships. "Send word to Admiral Kethra," Zareth said. "Tell him we need help. Tell him we need someone who knows how to fight." Far away, Admiral Kethra sat in his command center on the Federation capital world. He was old, even for his long-lived species. He had seen 3,000 years of peace. Now he watched that peace crumble on his screens. "Admiral, the outer colonies are asking for more ships," reported Commander Yithel. "But we do not have any more ships to send." Kethra knew the truth. The Federation had never built real warships. Their vessels were for exploring, trading, and rescuing people. They had some weapons, but not enough. The Devourers were built for only one thing: destroying and consuming. "How many refugees are we getting?" Kethra asked. "Millions every day, sir. But for every ship that escapes, 100 more are lost." Kethra touched the communication device on his desk. It could send messages across the galaxy. "Send out the emergency beacon," he said. "Send it to every system we know about. Ask for help from anyone who can fight." The message went out in all directions. It traveled faster than light, reaching every corner of the galaxy. Most worlds could not help. Some were too far away. Others were too weak. But one message reached a small blue world in a quiet part of VA. Space. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison sat in the deep space monitoring station above Earth. He was drinking coffee and watching the night shift screens when the alien signal came in. At first, he thought it was just space noise. Then the computer began to decode it. Holy ... double quotes. Jake stopped himself. The message was clear. An advanced alien civilization was asking for help. They were being destroyed by something called the Devourers. They needed military assistance. Jake called his boss, then his boss's boss. Within an hour, the message was on the desk of President Lisa Carter. She read it 3 times before she believed it. "Are we sure this is real?" she asked her science advisor. "The mathematics check out, Madam President. This is definitely from an advanced alien civilization, and they are definitely asking for help." President Carter called an emergency meeting. General Pete Rodriguez arrived first. He was a big man who had fought in every major war for the past 20 years. Admiral Kate Sullivan came next. She commanded Earth's secret space fleet, built in hidden shipyards around the solar system. "What do we know about these Devourers?" the President asked. "From the message, they are machine-based life forms," Dr. Amy Foster explained. She was Earth's top expert on possible alien life. They consume organic matter and technology. They turn everything into more of themselves. And the Federation? Asked General Rodriguez. Peaceful species. They have advanced technology, but no military. Experience. They are being slaughtered. Admiral Sullivan looked at the decoded message again. They sent this to everyone. That means they are desperate. Really desperate. Can we help them? President Carter asked. We have the fleet, Admiral Sullivan said. 12 heavy cruisers and 36 destroyers, all equipped with nuclear weapons and railguns. But we do not know how far we have to travel, or what we are really facing. General Rodriguez stood up. Madam President, we have been preparing for alien contact for 50 years. We built weapons. We trained soldiers. We always thought we might have to defend Earth from aliens. But maybe we need to help aliens defend themselves from something worse. The room was quiet. Everyone knew this was the biggest decision in human history. Earth had never fought a war in space. They had never even met an alien before. But somewhere in the galaxy, peaceful civilizations were dying. How long to prepare the fleet? President Carter asked. The ships are ready now, Admiral Sullivan said. We just need to load supplies and pick our best crews. And if we fail, then Earth becomes a target eventually. These devourers will not stop with the Federation. They will keep consuming until they reach us. President Carter looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, people were dying. People who had sent a message asking for help from anyone brave enough to fight. Send the fleet, she said. Send everything we have. Admiral Sullivan nodded. Yes, Madam President. Earth will answer the call. The next morning, Earth's first space battle fleet launched toward the stars. They did not know what they would find. They did not know if they could win, but they knew they had to try. The galaxy was calling for help, and Earth was going to answer. The U's vengeance moved through space like a metal shark. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge, watching the stars change as they traveled faster than light. Behind her ship, the rest of Earth's battle fleet followed in formation. 12 heavy cruisers and 36 destroyers, all painted in dark gray with the Earth flag on their hulls. Admiral, we are getting a signal, reported Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison. He had joined the fleet as their communication officer. It is weak, but it matches the Federation frequency. Put it on screen, Admiral Sullivan ordered. The screen showed a damaged alien ship. It was beautiful, with smooth curves and blue lights. But it was also broken. Parts of the hull were missing. The lights flickered on and off. This is Captain Zareth of the Federation vessel Harmony's Edge, came the voice through the translator. We are carrying refugees from the Velara system. Our engines are failing. Please help us. Admiral Sullivan looked at Captain Danny Walsh, who commanded the Vengeance. What do you think, Danny? Could be a trap, Walsh said. But that ship looks really damaged. And if they are refugees? Take us closer, Sullivan ordered. But keep the weapons ready. As they got closer, they could see the alien ship was huge. It was 3 times bigger than the Vengeance. But it was clearly not a warship. It had no visible weapons. The hull was made for beauty, not fighting. Admiral, I am reading over 10,000 life signs on that ship, reported Commander Lucy Brooks from the sensor station. Multiple species. They are packed in there like sardines. Danny, take a team over there, Admiral Sullivan said. Lucy, you go with him. Amy, you too. We need to know what we are dealing with. Dr. Amy Foster grabbed her equipment. She had studied alien biology for years, but only in theory. Now she was about to meet real aliens face to face. The shuttle bay of the Harmony's Edge was full of refugees. Danny Walsh and his team stepped out of their shuttle and immediately noticed the smell. It was not bad, just different. Sweet and flowery, like nothing on Earth, Captain Zareth was waiting for them. She was tall and thin, with purple skin and large eyes. She looked tired and scared. "You are not Federation," she said through the translator device. "What species are you?" "We are humans," Danny said. "We are from Earth. We got your message asking for help." Zareth looked confused. "Earth? I do not know this world. How did you get here so quickly?" "We have fast ships," Danny said. "But we need to know what we are fighting." As they talked, Amy Foster looked around at the refugees. She saw dozens of different alien species. Some looked like plants with legs. Others looked like giant insects. All of them looked afraid. "Doctor, you need to see this," Lucy Brooks called from her scanner. "These people are hurt, not just physically. They are traumatized." Amy moved through the crowd with her medical scanner. What she found made her stomach turn. Many of the refugees had bite marks. Others had scars where parts of their bodies had been removed, but they were alive. What happened to them? Amy asked Zareth. "The Devourers do not just kill," Zareth said quietly. "They harvest. They use living beings as food and raw materials. These people escaped, but many of their friends and family were taken." Danny Walsh felt anger rise in his chest. He had fought in wars before, but this was different. This was like something from a nightmare. "Show me the data on these Devourers," he said. Zareth led them to the ship's computer room. The screens showed images of the enemy. The Devourer ships were huge and black. They looked like metal spiders with too many legs. But it was the ground images that made the humans stare. "They strip everything," Zareth explained. "Buildings, plants, animals, people. They process it all into raw materials. Then they build more ships, more machines, more of themselves." "How many worlds have they taken?" Lucy asked. 17 confirmed. Maybe more. We lost contact with the outer colonies 3 days ago." Amy Foster studied the medical data. These creatures are not just killing for territory or resources. They are consuming entire ecosystems. This is extinction-level warfare. Danny contacted Admiral Sullivan on his radio. "Admiral, you need to see this. We are not just fighting an invasion. We are fighting total consumption." Back on the Vengeance, Admiral Sullivan reviewed the data with her senior officers. The Federation had advanced technology, but their weapons were not designed for war. They used energy beams that barely scratched the Devourer hulls. Their ships were fast, but fragile. "What about our weapons?" asked Captain Roy Stevens, who commanded the destroyer UESS. "Nuclear warheads and railguns," Sullivan said. "Primitive by their standards, but maybe that is an advantage. They are not expecting kinetic weapons." Commander Tony Garcia, who led the Marine units, looked at the Devourer data. "These things are networked. They think as a group. But that might be a weakness if we can disrupt their communications. First, we need to get these refugees to safety," Sullivan decided. "Then we can plan our attack." The human fleet escorted the Harmony's Edge to a Federation safe zone. Along the way, they met more refugee ships. The humans were shocked by what they saw. Entire civilizations were running from the Devourers. Billions of people with nowhere to go. "Admiral," Danny Walsh reported from the refugee convoy. "These people have been fighting for weeks. They lost every battle. Their weapons do not work against the Devourers." "What about their military?" Sullivan asked. "They do not have one. The Federation has been peaceful for 3,000 years. They have police ships and rescue vessels, but no real warships." Sullivan looked at the tactical display. The Devourers were getting closer to the Federation core worlds. If they were not stopped soon, trillions of people would die. "Admiral," Lucy Brooks said quietly, "the refugees are calling us something. The translator is having trouble with it, but I think it means Deathworlders. What does that mean? According to their database, Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. Most Federation species would die just from visiting our planet. The gravity is too strong. The atmosphere is toxic to them. The weather is too violent. Amy Foster smiled grimly. So we are the scary aliens to them. That might work in our favor, Sullivan said. If they think we are dangerous, maybe the Devourers will too. As the fleet prepared for battle, the humans began to understand their role. They were not just helping the Federation. They were the only species in the galaxy that could fight the Devourers. The peaceful aliens had called for help, and the Deathworlders had answered. The war was about to begin. The first battle happened near a gas giant called Kepler 438b. The Devourers had built a harvesting station on one of its moons. They were processing the rock and ice into raw materials for more ships. Admiral Sullivan watched the enemy base through the Vengeance's sensors. How many ships? She asked Commander Brooks. 12 Devourer vessels. Different sizes. The biggest one is twice the size of our heavy cruisers. Any Federation ships in the area? Negative. They pulled back after losing 3 vessels here last week. Sullivan nodded. This would be humanity's first real test against the Devourers. No one knew if their weapons would work. No one knew if they could win. All ships. This is Admiral Sullivan, she announced over the fleet communication system. We are going to attack the Devourer base. Remember, these machines consumed 17 worlds. They killed billions of people. Today, we show them that Earth fights back. Captain Danny Walsh commanded the lead group of destroyers. His ship, the UES Hammer, was loaded with nuclear torpedoes and railgun ammunition. Behind him, 5 other destroyers moved in attack formation. Target the biggest ship first, Walsh ordered. Hit it with everything we have. The human fleet attacked. From 3 directions. The Devourers responded immediately. Their ships moved with machine precision, forming a defensive line around their base. They fired energy beams at the approaching humans. The first energy beam hit the destroyer UE-S Lightning. The ship's armor glowed red-hot, but it held. The lightning kept flying toward the enemy. Their weapons are not as strong as we thought, reported Captain Helen Price from the Lightning. We can take several hits. All ships, begin nuclear attack. Admiral Sullivan ordered .20 nuclear torpedoes launched from the human fleet. They flew toward the Devourer ships like bright stars. The aliens had never seen weapons like these before. Their energy-absorbing hulls were designed to stop laser and plasma weapons. But nuclear explosions were different. The first torpedo hit a Devourer cruiser. The nuclear blast tore through the black metal hull like paper. The ship broke in half. Its interior machinery scattered into space. Direct hit, shouted Lucy Brooks. Their armor cannot stop our nukes. The Devourers tried to shoot down the other torpedoes, but they were too fast. Nuclear explosions lit up the space around the gas giant. 4 Devourer ships were destroyed in the first attack, but the machines adapted quickly. The remaining ships changed their formation. They began jamming the human torpedo guidance systems. Some of the nuclear weapons missed their targets. Switch to railguns, Danny Walsh ordered. Close-range attack. The human destroyers flew straight at the Devourer. Line. It was a dangerous move that would have been suicide for most species. But humans had evolved on a dangerous world. They were used to taking risks. The railguns fired solid metal slugs at incredible speed. The projectiles punched through the Devourer hulls like bullets through cloth. The enemy ships had no defense against simple kinetic weapons, Captain Roy Stevens commanded the U.E.S. Defiant. His ship was hit by 3 energy beams, but he kept attacking. A Devourer ship tried to ram him, but Stevens was faster. He fired his railgun at point-blank range. The enemy ship exploded. "This is incredible," reported Dr. Amy Foster from the Vengeance. "The Devourers are designed to fight energy weapons. They have no defense against our primitive technology." But the battle was not over. The largest Devourer ship, the size of a small moon, began to move toward the human fleet. It was covered in weapon ports and armor plates. Energy beams poured from its hull like rain. "That is their command ship," Admiral Sullivan realized. "All ships, concentrate fire on the big one." The human fleet surrounded the massive Devourer. Ship, nuclear torpedoes and railgun shells hit it from all sides. But the command ship was too big and too well armored. It kept fighting. "We need to get inside that thing," said Commander Tony Garcia. "My Marines can plant explosives in their computer core." "Too dangerous," Sullivan replied. "We would lose too many people." "Admiral, that ship is coordinating the entire Devourer fleet in this sector," Lucy Brooks reported. "If we can destroy it, we can break their network." Sullivan made a hard decision. "Danny, take your destroyers and keep that ship busy. Tony, prepare your boarding teams. We are going inside." The Marine assault shuttles launched from the human. Cruisers. They flew through the space battle, dodging energy beams and debris. The Devourer command ship was so big that it had its own gravity field. The shuttles landed on the hull like insects on a giant. Tony Garcia led 50 Marines into the alien ship. They cut through the hull with plasma torches and entered the machine corridors. The inside of the ship was like a nightmare. Cables and pipes ran everywhere. The walls were covered in organic material that the Devourers had harvested from destroyed worlds. "This way," Garcia said, following his scanner toward the computer core. "Stay together and watch for defenses." The Devourers had security systems inside their ships. Mechanical spiders the size of dogs attacked the Marines. But human weapons worked just as well inside the ship as outside. The Marines fought their way through the corridors, destroying everything that moved. "Core is just ahead," reported Sergeant Lisa Barnes. "But there are dozens of those spider things guarding it." "Use grenades," Garcia ordered. "Clear the room." The explosion echoed through the ship. The Marines rushed into the computer core. It was a huge room filled with glowing spheres and data cables. At the center was a brain-like structure that pulsed. "With light, plant the charges," Garcia said. "We have 2 minutes before this place comes apart." The Marines set their explosives and ran for the exit. Behind them, the Devourer computer core began to malfunction. The giant ship stopped firing its weapons. Its movements became erratic. "All ships, pull back," Admiral Sullivan ordered. "The core is about to explode." The human fleet moved away from the command ship. A few seconds later, the explosives detonated. The massive Devourer ship broke apart like a broken toy. Its pieces scattered across the solar system. The remaining Devourer ships lost their coordination. Without the command ship, they could not work together. The human fleet destroyed them one by one with nuclear torpedoes and railgun fire. "All enemy ships destroyed," reported Commander Brooks. "The harvesting base is offline." Admiral Sullivan looked at the tactical display. They had won their first battle against the Devourers. But she knew this was just the beginning. "Casualties?" she asked. 12 dead, 34 wounded, reported the medical officer. The UES Thunder took heavy damage, but is still operational. Sullivan nodded grimly. They had lost good people, but they had proven something important. The Devourers could be beaten. Their advanced technology was useless against human weapons and tactics. "All ships, this is Admiral Sullivan," she announced. "Today we showed the galaxy that Earth knows how to fight. But this is just one battle. There are thousands of Devourer ships out there. We have a lot of work to do." As the human fleet prepared for the next battle, News of their victory spread through the Federation. For the first time in weeks, the alien refugees had hope. The Deathworlders from Earth had proven that the Devourers were not invincible. The war was far from over, but the tide was beginning to turn. 3 months after the first battle, Earth's space fleet had grown to over 200 ships. The orbital shipyards around Earth worked day and night, building new vessels and weapons. The biggest ship was the UES Retribution, a massive dreadnought. Commanded by Captain Alex Johnson, Admiral Sullivan stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking at the tactical display. The Devourers had gathered their largest fleet near the Federation capital system. Over 3,000 enemy ships surrounded the beautiful blue world of Kepler 442. Admiral Kethra is requesting immediate assistance, reported Jake Morrison. The Devourers are preparing for a final assault on the capital. Sullivan nodded. This would be the biggest battle in galactic history. If they lost here, the Federation would fall. The Devourers would consume the heart of galactic civilization. Signal. The fleet, she ordered. All ships prepare for combat. This is what we came here for. The human fleet jumped into the capital system and immediately faced overwhelming odds. The Devourer ships stretched across space like a black cloud. Their smallest ships were the size of Earth's destroyers. Their largest were bigger than cities. My God, whispered Commander Brooks. There are so many of them. Admiral, the Federation fleet is taking heavy casualties, reported Captain Danny Walsh from his destroyer. Their ships are not built for this kind of fight. Sullivan watched the Federation vessels try to hold the line. Their energy weapons barely scratched the Devourer hulls. Their beautiful ships were being torn apart by the mechanical invaders. All human ships, attack formation Delta, Sullivan ordered. We hit them hard and fast. No mercy. The human fleet charged into the Devourer lines. Nuclear torpedoes lit up space as they found their targets. The enemy ships had learned from previous battles, but human weapons were still effective. The Devourers could not adapt to everything. Captain Johnson brought the Retribution into the center of the battle. His ship carried the new Omega class nuclear warheads. These weapons were so powerful they could destroy a small moon. Target their command ships, Johnson ordered. Take out their leadership. The Omega warheads found their targets. The explosions were so bright they could be seen from the planet's surface. Entire Devourer formations were wiped out in seconds, but the enemy was learning. Some Devourer ships began using captured Federation vessels as shields. They forced the human fleet to choose between destroying the enemy and saving innocent lives. Admiral, they are using refugees as human shields, reported Captain Helen Price. I have clear shots on 3 command ships, but there are Federation vessels in the way. Sullivan felt sick. This was the kind of decision that kept generals awake at night. But she knew what had to be done. Save the refugees, she ordered. Find another way to get those command ships. Commander Tony Garcia had an idea. His Marines had been training for boarding actions against Devourer ships. If they could not destroy the command ships from outside, they would do it from inside. Admiral, request permission to launch boarding action, Garcia said. We can take those command ships from the inside. Tony, that is suicide. Those ships are huge. We have new equipment. Powered armor, plasma weapons, nuclear charges. We can do this. Sullivan looked at the battle display. The Federation was losing ships faster than they could count. They needed to take out those command ships. Permission granted, she said. But be careful. We cannot afford to lose you. Garcia led 200 Marines in armored shuttles toward the Devourer command ships. The shuttles were hit by energy beams, but their armor held. They landed on the enemy hulls like metal ticks. The Marines cut through the ship hulls with plasma torches. Inside, they found corridors filled with mechanical defenders. The Devourers had learned from previous boarding actions. They had more security systems now. Heavy resistance, Garcia reported over the radio. These things are ready for us. The Marines fought their way through the ship using grenades and plasma rifles. Their powered armor protected them from the Devourer weapons. But the enemy had numbers on their side. Sergeant Lisa Barnes led a team toward the computer core. She had been in the first boarding action and knew what to look for. The Devourer. Ships all had the same basic design. Core is 2 decks down, she reported. But there are dozens of those spider bots guarding it. Use the new charges, Garcia ordered. Clear the entire deck. The fusion charges were smaller than nuclear weapons, but just as deadly in an enclosed space. The explosion tore through the ship's interior, destroying everything in its path. The Marines reached the computer core and found something new. The Devourers had put organic components in their computers. They were using harvested brain tissue from their victims to process information. This is sick, one Marine said over the radio. They are using people as computer parts. Garcia felt anger rise in his chest. These machines were not just killing people. They were turning them into components for their war machine. Plant the charges, he ordered. Let's end this. The nuclear charges detonated throughout the Devourer command ship. The vessel broke apart, its pieces scattered across the battlefield. The other command ships suffered the same fate as Marine teams fought their way to their cores. Without their command ships, the Devourer fleet began to lose coordination. The human fleet pressed their advantage, destroying enemy vessels with nuclear weapons and railgun fire. The battle raged for 6 days. The space around Kepler 442 became a graveyard of destroyed ships. Both sides lost thousands of vessels and millions of lives. On the 6th day, the tide finally turned. The remaining Devourer ships began to retreat. They had lost too many command vessels and too much coordination to continue the fight. All enemy ships are withdrawing, reported Commander Brooks. They are heading back toward dark space. Admiral Sullivan watched the enemy retreat on her tactical display. They had won the battle, but the cost had been enormous. The human fleet had lost 47 ships and over 12,000 people. What about the Devourers? She asked. Are they finished? Negative, reported the intelligence officer. This was just their advance fleet. There are more ships in dark space, but they will need time to rebuild their command structure. Sullivan nodded. The immediate threat was over, but the war was not finished. The Devourers would return eventually. But the galaxy now knew they could be beaten. Signal Admiral Kethra, she ordered. Tell him the capital is safe. The Federation capital celebrated their victory. For the first time in months, the alien civilians could sleep without fear. The Deathworlders from Earth had saved them from extinction. But Admiral Sullivan knew this was just the beginning. The Devourers would learn from this defeat. They would adapt their tactics and return stronger than before. The humans had won the battle, but the war for the galaxy was far from over. Earth's children had proven they could fight among the stars. Now they had to prove they could win. 6 months after the great battle, the galaxy looked very different. The Federation Council met on their capital world to discuss the new reality. Admiral Kate Sullivan sat at the table as the first human representative to the galactic government. Around her were delegates from dozens of alien species, all looking at her with a mixture of respect and fear. The Devourer threat is contained, but not eliminated, reported Admiral Kethra. Our scouts have detected movement in dark space. They are rebuilding their forces. Sullivan nodded. Our intelligence suggests they need at least 2 years to recover from their losses, but they will return. The alien delegates whispered among themselves. Some were grateful for human help. Others were worried about having such violent allies. The humans had saved the galaxy, but they had also shown a capacity for destruction that scared many peaceful species. "We must discuss the future," said Counselor Vexhai, a tall insect-like alien with 4 eyes. "The humans have proven themselves as warriors. But what happens when the war is over?" "The war is not over," Sullivan replied. "It will never be over as long as the Devourers exist. Someone has to guard the galaxy against them." "And you think that should be humans?" asked Counselor Zintara, whose species looked like walking flowers. "We think we are the only ones who can," Sullivan said honestly. "Your species are advanced and intelligent, but you are not built for war. We are." The discussion continued for hours. The Federation had to decide how to reorganize their society. They could not go back to the way things were before. The Devourers had shown that peace was only possible if someone was willing to fight for IT. Dr. Amy Foster worked in the new Xenobiology Research Center on the capital world. She had spent months studying the different alien species and their capabilities. Her research confirmed what everyone already knew. Humans were unique. Most Federation species evolved on peaceful worlds, she explained to a group of alien scientists. Their planets had few predators and stable climates. They never needed to develop the physical strength or mental toughness required for warfare. "But humans are different?" asked Dr. Yithel, a blue-skinned alien with 3 arms. "Earth is what we call a death world," Amy said. "High gravity, violent weather, dangerous predators, and toxic atmosphere. Most of your species would die just from visiting our planet. But those harsh conditions made us strong." The alien scientists looked at the data with amazement. Human bone density was 3 times higher than most species. Human muscle strength was 5 times greater. Human reflexes were twice as fast. Even human psychology was different. "Your species can function under extreme stress," Dr. Yithel observed. "Most of us would collapse under the psychological pressure of combat." "We evolved to handle danger," Amy explained. "For millions of years, humans had to fight just to survive. That made us good at warfare, but it also made us good at working together under pressure." Meanwhile, Commander Tony Garcia was establishing the first Galactic Marine Corps training facility. He had volunteers from 20 different species, all wanting to learn human military tactics. "The key is teamwork," Garcia explained to his mixed group of alien recruits. "In combat, you have to trust your teammates completely. Your life depends on them." The training was difficult. Most alien species could not handle the physical demands of human-style combat. Their bodies were not built for the stress and violence of warfare. But some species showed promise. The Korathi looked like large cats and had natural hunting instincts. The Vendic were strong and tough, with armored skin. The Zilani were small, but fast and intelligent. Garcia worked with each species to develop tactics that matched their abilities. "Remember," he told his recruits, "you are not trying to become human. You are trying to become warriors. Use your natural abilities, but learn from our experience." Captain Danny Walsh had been promoted to Admiral and was overseeing the construction of the new Galactic Defense Network. Human engineers worked with alien scientists to build weapon platforms throughout Federation space. "The idea is simple," Walsh explained to the Federation Council. "We create a network of automated defense stations armed with nuclear weapons and railguns. If the Devourers return, we can hit them before they reach any inhabited worlds." "And these weapons will be controlled by humans?" asked Counselor Vexhai. "Jointly controlled," Walsh replied. "Humans will provide the military expertise, but Federation species will provide the technology and scientific knowledge. We work together." The joint technology programs were producing amazing results. Human weapons combined with alien energy. Systems created devastating new weapons. Federation shield technology protected human ships from energy attacks. Alien faster-than-light drives made human warships even more effective. Commander Lucy Brooks had been promoted to admiral and was in charge of the new combined fleet. She commanded ships from dozens of different species, all working together under human military doctrine. The trick is coordination, she explained to her mixed crew. Every species has different strengths. The Talani are excellent pilots. The Korathi are great at sensors. The Vendic are tough fighters. We use everyone's abilities. The combined fleet was smaller than the old Federation Navy, but it was much more effective. The ships were designed for combat, not just exploration. They carried human weapons and alien technology in perfect combination. But the biggest change was in the way the galaxy thought about war and peace. The Federation had learned that peace was not the natural state of the universe. It had to be protected and defended. We were naive, admitted Admiral Kethra in a private meeting with Sullivan. We thought that because we were peaceful, the universe would be peaceful too. The Devourers showed us how wrong we were. Sullivan nodded. Peace is not free. Someone always has to pay the price to maintain it. On Earth, we learned that lesson a long time ago. And now you will teach it to the galaxy? We will protect the galaxy, Sullivan said. That is what we do best. The Terran Mandate was signed 3 months later. It was a formal agreement between Earth and the Federation. Humans would provide military protection for all member worlds. In exchange, the Federation would share their advanced technology and scientific knowledge with Earth. This is not conquest, President Lisa Carter explained in her speech to the Galactic Assembly. This is partnership. We offer our strength to protect your civilization. You offer your wisdom to help us grow. The agreement was not popular with everyone. Some alien species worried that humans would become too powerful. Others feared that the galaxy would become militarized under human influence. But most Federation citizens supported the mandate. They had seen what happened when peaceful species faced a real threat. They knew they needed guardians who understood the reality of warfare. Jake Morrison, now promoted to captain, established the first human embassy on the Federation capital world. The building was designed to accommodate both human and alien visitors. It became a symbol of the new cooperation between species. The hardest part is the cultural differences, Morrison explained to visiting Earth diplomats. Most alien species have never experienced real violence. They do not understand why we need so many weapons and soldiers. But they are learning? Yes, slowly. The younger generation especially understands the need for defense. They grew up during the Devourer War. They know what happens when no one is willing to fight. The new galactic order was tested when scout ships detected Devourer movement in a distant sector. The enemy had rebuilt a small fleet and was probing Federation defenses. Admiral Brooks led the response with a combined fleet of human and alien ships. The battle was short and decisive. The Devourers had not learned enough from their previous defeats. Their ships were still vulnerable to human weapons. Enemy fleet destroyed, Brooks reported. No survivors. They were testing our response time and capability. Sullivan studied the battle reports. They are learning, but slowly. We have maybe a year before they try a major assault again. The galaxy used that time wisely. New defense stations were built. More species joined the military training programs. The combined fleet grew larger and more capable. Earth's shipyards expanded beyond the solar system. Human colonies were established near key Federation worlds. These bases served as both military outposts and cultural exchange centers. Dr. Foster published her research on human evolution and its military applications. The paper became required reading for all Federation military personnel. It explained why humans were so effective in combat and how other species could learn from their example. The key insight, Foster wrote, is that humans evolved as persistence. Hunters, we do not give up. Even when facing overwhelming odds, humans will continue fighting until they win or die. This psychological trait, combined with our physical capabilities, makes us ideal soldiers. The paper also discussed human cooperation abilities. Humans are pack hunters. They work together instinctively in dangerous situations. This allows them to coordinate complex military operations that would be impossible for more individualistic species. 3 years after the first Devourer attack, the galaxy had transformed. The Federation was no longer a loose collection of peaceful traders and explorers. It had become a defended civilization with humans as its guardians.